Hey, what's up, everybody? This is D with a long awaited update on my 125 Brooklyn Reef. You know how I love all the softies. I've been looking at this landscape for a long time, and I'm going to do some much needed cleaning, and I'm thinking about rearranging some things. So let's take a walk up to the tank. Let me get this top open, and I will start changing. One thing that I do have in regards to this tank and as far as issues go is the tank is in my main dining area, and as the year goes around, since it is enclosed, it does build up heat, and we'll take a walk over to the apex and show you what the issue is. Right now the tank is at 78 degrees, which is beautiful, but as this is a high traffic area, CO2 from people in the room and increasing temperatures in the summertime mean this tank gets pretty hot, and I'm constantly battling issues related to temperature because, as you know, I don't run a chiller. This is as natural as I can keep it, and temperature means that some corals just do not do well when the temperature is hitting into those 80s. The pH drops. We have all kind of issues, and we have to deal with them as such. Now, many of the corals that I have in here, you can see I take the turkey baster and aggressively clean, kill all the dead spots, which are basically any of these deep crevices. Clean them with my old turkey baster and make sure that I get all the dead spots blown around. But back to the temperature issue, not all coral do well with coral. You see over here, I'll take you for a closer look. I had a beautiful chalice here, which is now just basically a rock. Chalices don't do well when that temperature hits into those 80s, so I know this is the case, and I know that some coral just won't do well in here. Some corals will. Leathers are extremely resilient. They will build up tolerances for changes in the water chemistry. And this is why a majority of my coral are softies that I know, based on my setup, will do well. Some of these are really old. These Kenyas here were started back in, I want to say 2005, 2006 maybe. They've been cut about a zillion times. I don't even know how many times, but they're really resilient corals. And when I meet new hobbyists that are trying to get in a hobby and they're really scared or nervous about setting up a tank, I usually let them get started with easy corals like this, because you want to give people things that you know they're going to do well with. They're going to build a confidence. When they do well with one, they're more likely to do well in the hobby. So you can always pull these guys out, change them later. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, D, man, you need some more flow in there. No, there's always a dead spot in the tank. I don't care if you have 50 pumps. If you have 50 pumps, go right behind your pump. Believe me. Because you got to realize water is pulled into the pump and blown out. Water is pulled into the sides of the pump and blown out. So you're actually drawing sediment towards the pump. So you're going to have to clean it. Just comes with the territory. But if you add that to the fact that the temperatures are increasing and you have increased sediment, fish eat more, they poop more, metabolism changes. When the temperatures go up, you're going to have to do more cleaning. Not necessarily more water changes. You should do more water changes. I'll be the first one to admit that I don't. But I know in the summertime, I'm going to do more cleaning like I am right now. Now I'm just blowing around the sand. One thing I like to do too, I don't have a really deep sand bed, but I like to get those anaerobic spots in the tank circulated. because they do build up nutrients. Anaerobic areas are havens for bacteria, and it's just healthy for the tank in general. Now, I never do all of the tank at once because that can be a problem, but I do come in here and give it a good whirl. Today I'll do this side, probably tomorrow I'll do the other side, but I've also been looking at what changes I can make. Now, let me just throw the camera on the table so I can use both hands. My rock work, while being open, and this is a 6-foot tank, does have quite a few dead areas. Basically, if you go back there, I'll bring it for a closer look. Back here, you're gonna get dead spots. It looks like the rock is against the wall, but you can see there's about a 3-foot area between the rock work and the wall of the tank. Now, what I've tried to do, whether successful or not, is move this stuff around. I gotta be honest. I get pretty complacent when the corals are doing well, and I leave it. Rule of thumb: when it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I don't fix it all the time. I like to let nature kind of find its own balance and leave it at that. Sometimes you get too caught up in the newest thing, or oh yeah, like this object, or gyre, or LED, changing the settings, and sometimes you just don't have to do it. You just have to take your tank for what it is. It builds its own personality. And it's not perfect. I'll be the first one to say my tank's not perfect, but my fish are pretty healthy. They're pretty happy. I have spots where I have aptasia. Yeah, fine. I know what it is. I can kill it when I'm ready to kill it. It'll come back. Some won't come back. It is what it is. But as Mr. Saltwater Tank says, Mark says, know your tank personality. Know your personality. Know what you're going to do and what you won't do. Some people say, yeah, I clean my water, and I go over there and you can see that they got dirt in the tank that looks like a sweater. It's so old. Know what you're going to do. Be realistic. And maintain what you can maintain. Now, as I said before, I know my tank battles with temperature. So am I going to put the Monteporas in here? No, because they're not going to do well. It's like know what you're capable of, and you're more likely to succeed. I love mushrooms. Mushrooms love me. And I have pretty good success for them. One thing that I did notice here is the aptasia does get aggressive. So I do have to come in here once in a while with my caulk washer mix and kill it out. But they come back. I may actually look into a filefish for this tank. I'm still debating it because when the aptasia is gone, what are they going to eat? They're probably going to go after whether pallies or whatever I have in here and feed on them like there's no tomorrow. Now, I do have my Pamini Tang, which is ready to come out of quarantine. I'm still debating whether I'm going to get another Red Sea sailfin tang, because I do miss my sailfin tang. It's my favorite, one of my favorite fish. I lost him to an unknown ailment that did not affect any of my other fish. So, probably in the cards when payday comes that I'll probably look into getting another sailfin tang. So I'm keeping that in mind as I plan on moving some of these pieces around. One thing you might want to do also is, let me see if I can catch this angle. If you have rocks like this, I'll show you real quick. Rocks that you tend to look at, and I've seen a lot of people make comments. Let's see if you can see my hand here. Let me turn it a bit. Try not to get stuck by one of these fish. I'll get rocks like this, and if you're going for a closer look, this rock has natural growth on it. Look at that rock. You can see coralline on there. See sponge growth on there. You can see kelp on the bottom. If I go in for a closer look, the tang loves this. He sees an opportunity to peck on it. He'll eat the algae right off of it while I hold it up. This is our little interactive time. You don't want to suddenly move because those tangs can get you real good with their little spear on their tail. They don't call them surgeon fish for nothing, but when I move that rock out, it gives him a chance to peck on that algae. And I'll actually move it and turn it up so that he knows that it's there. Place it back down here, and he could peck on it. I'll do that with several pieces of rock. Also, if you have things like this that you can just wave off with your hand, never hurts to do that. Moving sand around the base of these corals is really healthy for the tank because it kills that dead growth on the coral, exposes it to light, and it gives you a chance to kind of give your tank the overall. And I'm gonna wrap this up. Uh-oh, just knocked that into the overflow. Hold on. One thing you could do with the tank that I do is check your overflows. I keep a little carbon cartridge in my overflow. I don't know if you can see it, but keep a little carbon cartridge in there. I just dropped it because it's tight and I got big hands. Little carbon cartridge in my overflow where the flow is the highest. Fresh carbon. This is basically probably taken from one of my old Eheim or canisters. I drop it in my overflow box. Constant turnover. Nice cleaning. And I keep my brush in here for giving the final cleanup. That stubborn algae that don't want to come off. Take my little brush to it. Move around. Keeps the tank nice and clean. Now this tank, the only thing I really dose is 2-part from bulk Reef supply and magnesium. So it's basically alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. I'm like a little housekeeper here, giving it a nice brushing. Tank is simple. Once again, I know what I'm capable of. I know what my schedule is. And the more realistic you are, the better your tank will do. Your coral will be happy and healthier. They'll be used to your routine. And you're more likely to succeed. So I think I'm going to wrap it up with that. Moving a few rocks. Giving them a much needed cleaning off. Look at that beautiful coralline hanging under the algae. Nice healthy algae growth. But my yellow will love that. Stay tuned. Click that subscribe button. I'm going to probably move my Pamini out of quarantine very soon into the main tank. You guys can stay tuned. Make sure